what we would call a typical air draft problem. We're going to transit a canal. The minimum clearance under the bridge is 0.3, the underside of which is 20.24 of the water line. We're in fresh water, so we'd have to be careful when we're using our hydrostatics, and we're giving our initial drafts 5.22, 6.38. It's important to note at this point, those present drafts are only used to get your initial displacement. That's the only function they have in this problem. They're nothing to do with sorting things out to do with the bridge. It's simply to get your initial displacement. Now we're told our foremast position and our aftmast position, and we're told the heights above the keel. So let's look at how we calculate the drafts at the foremast and the aftermast. We need to find the drafts at those two. So I've done a sketch, and there's our bridge. We've got 0.3 clearance, and we know from the bridge to the waterline is 20.24. We're told that from the keel to the top of the aftermast is 26.94. So the easiest way to look at this is to add the 0.3, so we need that total there, subtract the 20.24 that we've got clearance, and that would mean the draft here is 7 metres. The same here, 25.92 plus 0.3 minus the 20.24 will give us a draft of 5.98. So that's how we get the drafts at the masts. And of course the trim between the masts is the difference between those two, which is 1.02. So that's how we get our drafts at the masts. Then it tells us the distance the foremast is longitudinally and the aftermast is. And let's look at the sketch to see the significance there. So the vessel's 137.5 metres long, with 37 metres for the aftmast, 112 for the foremast. So the difference between those two is 75. And of course we can get the distance here because it's 137.5 minus 112. So in red there are the two distances that we've had to calculate, and in green are the distances that we have been given. So now let's look at the maths behind it all. So draft at the foremast, draft at the aftermast, we've written them down there. Put here the after peak, aftermast, foremast, forepeak, the distances, and that's what we're looking for, the draft at the after perpendicular and the draft at the forward perpendicular. So for the draft aft, it'll be 7 metres. Now it'll be plus because we're trimmed by the stern, and our aftmast is forward of the after perpendicular, so we're trying to find the draft at the after perpendicular, so the correction to the aftmast must be plus, and the opposite will be true for the foremast. Because we're trimmed by the stern, we're going from the foremast to the forward perpendicular, that correction must be a minus. So for the aft it's 7 plus 37 over 75 times the 1.02. So it's 37 over 75 times the 1.02, which is the difference. And the foremast will be 25.5 over 75 times that difference. So 37 over 75, 25.5 over 75. And that gives us our final drafts, forward and aft. They're our final drafts. The latter part of the problem is very straightforward. AMD, TMD, go in the tables and get your displacement. Then we use it to get our initial displacement, as it's the only time we use our initial drafts. The difference between the two will be the ballast or weight to load or discharge. So hopefully the sketches will help you with solving this problem.